Okay, hello everyone. My name is Eileen Wu, and today I'm here to present to you a motivational roadmap on how to find your friends and soulmates. Oh, and forgot to add that I am a social psychology PhD student. Close relationships are so very important in our lives. They provide us with emotional intimacy and support, and there's an abundance of evidence showing that they are vital to our physical and mental health. Given that the vast majority of us desperately need close relationships to truly flourish in our life, whether that means close friendships or romantic relationship to you, it is a common concern how we can build them from scratch. And my research on broad motivations can provide a piece of the puzzle. So there are two general types of broad motivations, those for chasing gains and those for preventing losses. People with a lot of gain motivations are very sensitive to opportunities, and they're more likely to be driven by the potential positive outcome. In comparison, people with a lot of prevention motivations are more likely to be sensitive to the potential pitfalls and risks, and more likely to be driven to action by the potential negative scenario. So it is an individual chronic difference, as in the environments tend to mold us toward being more gain-oriented or being more prevention-oriented. So if you are curious about what your motivational tendency is, simply reflect in your day-to-day life and think about whether you pay more attention to ideals and aspirations or duties and responsibilities, and then you will have a rough idea. So one really easy analogy is hiking up a mountain. And you'll be able to relate to this if you have hiked before. So a more gain-oriented person will feel more driven by the potential fabulous view that's promised at the top of the mountain. But a more prevention-oriented person will feel more at risk of falling off the height and be more motivated to prevent that from happening. So the really interesting set of findings that tie all of this together is that we have repeatedly found that gain motivations are associated with more success in building more close relationships, whether that is close friendship or romantic relationship. And prevention-motivated people are less successful at doing so. For example, in one study with a group of single adults, we found that gain-oriented people were able to build a higher number of romantic relationships, whether that's casual or serious, and they were able to find more close friendships as well. And that's better than prevention-oriented people. So you might ask, what explains this interesting phenomenon for gain-oriented people? And we propose it's because of their distinct perception and strategies. So it's been repeatedly found that gain-oriented people are more optimistic of their personal outcome. And in order to bolster their eager mindset, and their optimistic perception further propel and sustain them to sustain their eager mindset and strategies in order to keep pursuing the expected gains. And in comparison, prevention-oriented people are less optimistic and even more defensively pessimistic of their personal outcome in order to bolster their vigilant mindset and strategies. So how this translates to our scenario and context is that a gain-oriented people is more likely to be optimistic of their appeal in the eyes of others and be optimistic of having their feelings reciprocated by their interested others. This way, it means that they can feel more at ease with being proactive with expressing their feelings and asking people out on dates. So one interesting finding we got that showcases is that gain-oriented people are more likely to think that their romantic interests like them back. So here is the proposed causal pathway that we have some evidence for. Gain motivations lead to more optimistic perception, which lead to more ease with being proactive with expressing their feelings, and which lead to more likelihood that they can have their relationship initiated. In comparison, prevention motivations do the opposite thing. They lead to less optimism and eventually less likelihood. I believe that it could be a reinforcing cycle, as in when gain-oriented people have their relationship initiated, it is going to reinforce their self-narrative that they are indeed appealing in the eyes of others, and this could turn into more of a positive upward spiral. Unfortunately, for prevention motivations, if they have fewer relationships initiated, it could reinforce their self-narrative that they are not that appealing, which could likely be very far from the truth, and turn this into a more of a negative downward spiral. However, I do not want you to leave this presentation thinking that prevention motivations are inherently worse than gain motivations. It's very, very, very much not true. We desperately need both types of motivation to really optimally function for different kinds of purposes in life. However, I do want you all to feel empowered to believe that we are all capable of adjusting our own motivational mindset toward the one that suits our purpose best at hand. So what that means is that if you are trying to build close relationships more, whether that's friendships or romantic relationships, it would be more functional for you to focus more on the gains of the potential relationship closeness than on the loss of potentially getting rejected. This way, you can best access the advantage of gain motivations and be the most at ease with building the close relationship you want. Thank you very much.